Frankie here. Today I'm joined by CJ, Blak Atak, Brickheadz. We're here in Chicago to talk about experiences and knowledge on breaking. CJ, I must say, I know we were just talking about this offline. Before this interview starts, I already know this is gonna hit close to home. When I first started breaking in 2011, that was the same time that Crooks Crew from Chicago, you guys were really making your mark. What do you remember about that time period?
First and foremost, thank you very much for having me. Longtime fan of yours. 2010 era. Crooks started in 2009. Made a lot of noise that first year. We were really focused on crew unity, building a lot of routines, not just a bunch of dudes just linking up together to go to a battle. We were all kind of scragglers from different crews. I decided to do my own thing after being in the crew for 10 years. I dropped in 2008, and I was like solo for like a year. And then I linked up with Adverse and Lester and Jolie and Al Grande. Did a couple battles. After that, we were like, man, I think we're on to something. And that's when we really took it serious and started like really training, rep our crew and rep our city.
Crew unity, I like that. I think it definitely shows if you watch, like you said, some of those routines and just how hard everyone hit that same energy. Some judges, they talk about if certain squads in a crew battle are not performing as well as other, it almost has to do with like a difference in energy from crew member to crew member.
Right.
Crooks, I remember you guys were everywhere. You guys were coming to Michigan, definitely some Minnesota.
Yep. Yeah, we got out to California once, I think.
In terms of overall style or approach, is there something you guys wanted to showcase?
Obviously, we're creative individually and powerful individually, but showing that we can come together to really just mop the floor with people and show how being prepared can add into your freestyle. Breaking's really free, and that's what I love about it. But if you're prepared, it just puts some ease on your mind, and especially when it comes to competition. And obviously that's what we were doing, right? Going to all these battles, battling crews like Supernaturals that are super tight. Everyone flows well together and they all feed off of each other in that way. And we got a lot of flack being from Chicago, like, oh, you guys are just power heads, just blow up heads, And like, we wanted to show we can dance, we can have routines, we can do all the things that breaking encompasses and not just be known for being aggressive and having power.
So let's take a step back here and let's get a little bit of your breaking origins. Even from Crooks Crew 2010, you just mentioned there's another 10 years of experience before that, right?
Yeah.
Let's go back, and maybe you can relate to this. One thing that breakers talk about that have stuck around over the years, they've been around other breakers that are just exceptionally talented. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, they fall off. Maybe it's breakers you first started training with. Can you relate to this at all? Do you feel like from where the breaking scene maybe in Chicago is right now versus way back when, just seeing the talent fall off, year after year, generation after generation?
Started breaking in '98. It was just a different time. A lot of innovation, a lot of resurgence. All these things are happening at the same time because when I started breaking, it was like, people were like, you still do that? Even me learning, like my first big jam was Pro-Am 2000 in Miami, Florida. That opened my eyes to the world of breaking. I already knew about breaking. I saw tapes, B-Boy Summit tapes, Radiotron and all these different events. But to see all of that in person and then to just delve into my own scene, it just opened my mind to like the craziness of breaking. There was this crazy talent. I think part of it was less pressure because now it's so competition based. And before when I started, it was all parties, jams, things like Scribble Jam, where it's not just breaking happening. It's literally hip hop happening. Graffiti, DJs obviously, people MCing, ciphers in the corner. You'd see a MC cipher and a breaking cipher in the same event. People just wanted to go vibe, be with their homies, see their crew, see the different styles. And I can remember it was almost like a light being switched on in a room. Like after 2000, when the 2000s hit, people were like, whoa, it's all lights, camera, action now. And I literally saw people just stop breaking because they didn't like that feel of being constantly judged. Everyone can see everything I'm doing. People are biting my stuff now. Like, I've gotten all of that. For me, I come from a gymnastics sports background. So I was used to competing. Like I used to compete around the Midwest. I'm a long, lanky black dude, you know what I mean? Like doing gymnastics and like, I didn't really have the physique for it, but I had the heart. I always wanted to learn how to flip. Doing that, I loved the discipline that it built within me, the strength that I saw, the flexibility that I was seeing in my body and how my body was changing. I got to experience that in my like preteen and early teenage years. So coming into breaking, when I started, I was 15. I didn't care if someone was watching me break. Coming into breaking, I'm like, whoa, it's darker, more vibe. I can wear what I want. I loved it. And that's what really made me immerse myself in breaking. Seeing that competition aspect kind of take over, and with like movies coming out like You Got Served, Step Up, it became a little bit more commercialized, which was fine, but I did see that kind of underground appeal. The people that were a little bit more grittier, they did not take a liking to that. And that's where I kind of seen a shift of styles and people that used to break and are kind of like, oh, I'm not really into, I don't really vibe with that anymore. Obviously, it was a new wave of people that came into breaking from that as well, because it's more exposure, more family friendly, because now your parents can go to the event, more appealing to a general population.
On the one hand, you're talking about this transition, more eyeballs, just more eyeballs on breaking during that time. And then you're also highlighting some of the things from your own personal journey, coming up from a sports or athletic competitive background. We're also talking about, I like the word choice that you use. Every person I interview, maybe some of us have similar ideas, but our word choice is different. And that's what makes these interviews so special and so unique. You said it takes less pressure off of people. I feel like that nowadays, people are becoming better competitors. They're not necessarily becoming better breakers.
Right.
To take the pressure off of breakers, early on, where there's no limelight, there's no prize money. I equate that a little bit to like trick circles. If you've ever been to a tricking event, everyone's just there to throw down.
Right.
Even nowadays, even though there are some competitions, I still feel like the energy you get from there is, let's just do the hardest tricks we can. Let's just become the best artists or athletes we can.
Exactly. I would say that was the vibe, prior 2000. It's just like wild, like ciphers are wild. People just doing moves, crashing into like the crowd like they didn't care, It wasn't like you had to be perfect with everything.
Can we talk a little bit about any Chicago breakers you remember from there? If you want to mention any names, that's good, or any inspirations you might have had too.
All Pro Breakers is one of them from Chicago. A lot of black dudes from the South Side and different parts of the city. Phase 2 was around heavily when I started breaking. Obviously, Brickheadz. My first crew is called We Rockwell. The people I learned how to break from were Spin Master Saul from the Brickheadz, Sean Rocca, Brickheadz, Soar, Angel Brick. He wasn't really down with Rockwell, but I'm just naming people that I learned from. And I guess individuals that inspired me to get better. Obviously Waka, just because he was such a crazy presence. Even when I first saw him, it's like you could feel it. Seeing K-Mel, I'm the type of person that's rivals make me better. So seeing someone that's better than me makes me want to get better and then find them and test my strength against them. As much back and forth I've had with that B-boy K-Mel, I have high respect for him. He's someone that I saw very early on that's my body type, charismatic and confident. These are all things that I saw firsthand. I remember him battling Omega. Omega is another person, big influence for me. Top from Self X. But I remember Omega battling K-Mel in 1999 here in Chicago at this spot called the Royale. Basically a nightclub. I was 16 getting in there. I don't know what the hell was going on with that place, but dude, they used to have crazy dope hip hop parties. There'd be MC performances, all that, but mad breakers would show up. One year I saw Cypher battle K-Mel and Omega. So just seeing all these very influential, super strong presence B-boys, it really helped me develop and know that how I should be carrying myself and getting myself to that point too. I was very observant and quiet when I started breaking. I became Blak Atak, you know what I mean? I didn't start off like that. I was just CJ from the north side,
At this point, CJ, we're gonna give you a chance to react to some old footage. So the first clip I'm pulling up is Out for Fame, 2000.
This was kind of my debut as a brickhead. So when I started breaking, I was breaking by myself and with my friends from my neighborhood for maybe close to 2 years. At that 2-year mark is when I got down with the Brickheadz. And again, I had prior gymnastics experience, so the first breaking move I had was flares. It was a big day because obviously this, we got out of towners, in Chicago. We knew Phase 2 was gonna be there. They're always our rivals kind of here in the city. Yeah, so everyone, I wasn't a big dancer back then, you know what I mean? I like the moves. Wow. So you can kind of see the gymnastics kind of influence in there, I would say our scene didn't emphasize like the dancing aspect of breaking as much. It was more about just blowing shit up, just being like as hardcore as you could be. At this time, I was a little closed-minded. I know I was dancing and I liked the music, but I just didn't care. So I'm glad that I grew out of that, but was still able to retain that same impact that I had back then. Now,
given what you're saying about that, do you feel like you're happy with the order in which you trained things though? Maybe early on you want to be more on the discipline side, right?
I'm 40 now, right? And at this time I was like 16 maybe? I can do more stuff now than then. So I think that it did help for me to train these like harder, well, one, set my body up for it, right? Conditioning, understanding conditioning, repetition, building my flexibility. 3 core things that leading into adulthood become more difficult. Not to say that people can't build discipline and repetition. Building that mindset early helped me into my adulthood carrying those same principles. So my body was set up to learn these new harder moves like the air flares and all these newer things and newer combinations. I find that some people struggle with that in their later years, trying to learn certain moves because they're not as flexible or it's harder for them to get there. They don't have the time. I took all that time then to set myself up. This is us versus Brickheadz. So I definitely remember this. I had ruptured my Achilles tendon. In this battle, I'm battling on basically a ruptured Achilles tendon that I did not get surgery for yet. I was also very excited and heated to battle my old crew. I was also questioning how hard I should go because I didn't want to re-injure myself. I initially got injured and didn't get surgery right away. Being kind of like a hood dude from here, I didn't have health insurance at the time, thinking I'm strong, I can heal myself, and I got to the point where I could battle again. But then I ended up re-rupturing my Achilles and then had to get surgery. That's something that I dealt with all 2010, which was also the reason why I wasn't in the last City vs. City that happened. I believe it was City vs. City 6. I was supposed to be on that squad, but then I was at my crib in a cast. I'm also trying to work on my dancing. As you can see, I went through a very awkward phase with top rocking, and maybe I'm still in an awkward phase to some people, but I feel like I progressed pretty heavily. Ooh, I forgot I did that.
I think that just speaks to how long we've been in this game. When you dig up just some of these gems that you just completely forgot about.
I forgot all about that. Thank you for showing that to me.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
A ruptured Achilles tendon. I haven't had this injury before, but I've heard it's very painful.
It could be a career ender. It was devastating. It also made me put my life in perspective. I had tried going to college, dropped out because I was just like, oh, I'm traveling too much. All throughout my 20s with the bricks, we were just traveling, going all over the place. I just wanted to break. I always had a job, you know, so I was good financially, but I wasn't really thinking about my future. And I was like, I make all of my money with my body. And if I can't use my body the way that I need to, I'm not gonna be able to work. Through this injury, it made me reevaluate my life. So I got back into school. I didn't have a car, I got a car. Like I just switched everything around that I felt like I needed to help better my future. Thinking ahead, 5 years, where am I gonna be? Getting injured sucked, but it actually was a blessing in disguise because it really matured me to think about my adulthood and my longevity. If I want to continue to still break and be a b-boy into my later adult years, how am I going to do that? But I felt so good at the time. I didn't feel like anything, like I felt like indestructible. So it was also humbling to know that like no one is indestructible, no one is perfect, no one's Superman. I'm not glad that it happened, but I'm glad that I was able to use it to better my life in other areas outside of breaking. Even to this day, I'm just so glad to just be here, you know, and that's why I go super hard with breaking. I'm the type of person who'll shake everyone's hand at the gym because I'm literally just appreciative to see everybody and to be part of this community. I've had friends that have passed away and have died. So I just really value being part of a community, something that's been so enriching to my life. In any pro sport, that's a career ender. Basketball, football, like just people that have come back, but they're never really the same, right? And my whole thing was to make people forget about it. You know, my range of motion in my leg is different than what it used to be. I used to do way crazier flips, you know, round out full twist. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I had to switch my style and how I do that just so I'm not causing so much stress on my body. It just helped me reevaluate how I'm dancing, how I'm moving, how to keep myself safe and still getting that same impact that I want on the floor. Ooh! Damn, I forgot I did that shit too. Damn, if I would have linked that into this, that's what I should have did. Oh, okay. Yeah, we used to train a lot. Definitely used to train the routines a lot. I used to do a lot of that stuff, Frankie. You know why I started training a lot of that stuff too? I needed to set myself apart from Evil and Shorty, because they were just crazy power heads in our crew, in the Brickheadz when I was down at that time. I was like, dude, I can't keep up with these guys right now. So I just started trying to find my own kind of like niche. Start practicing a lot of like one-handed stuff, some more unique freezes, presses and things like that, just kind of set myself apart.
Evil likes to call it fly like a bird style. Across the US, you had a lot of people that were just flying.
Yes, they were, and I wasn't quite there yet. It was like I was flapping, but I wasn't flying yet. I was like, you know what, let me just stay in the ground. In later years, I was like, nah, I gotta clean this power up, get these up air flares, get these air flares,
So what do you see from, the story that you were telling us before? 2010, you had this injury. 2012, a couple of years later, how are you seeing the progression for your style?
I feel like I had a lot of time to reflect when I was injured, and it really did make me want to focus more on being a more complete breaker. Also breaking with Crooks, like I kind of knew my role. I really liked the aspect of us coming together doing the routines, but I also liked that I didn't have to necessarily do like hella top rocks and hella footwork, because we were a unit. I could really present the things that I'm good at, one arm stuff, more power moves and things like that. But at the same time, I was still trying to sprinkle in more like footwork, floor work, and things that I was working on, just to show my diversity. I got sick of people just calling me a power head. I feel like I had these other attributes that often got overlooked because I was so good at flares. And like, I just didn't want to be confined in that box. Like, I was like, no, I can do other things. And to this day, that's how I think about my breaking, like in terms of practicing and training. Like, when I train, I don't just train power, I train like everything, my footwork, my tops, like every time I practice.
It's really interesting to hear you talk about how a lot of your crew influence helped develop your style. Like if you're training for crew battles, like you're trying to find what your strengths are. If you're more of a lone wolf, you feel like you're more of a lone wolf kind of guy, you're just trying to do everything.
Right.
Where it might not give you a chance to really find what you're special at.
Exactly, and even on the outside looking in, like people judging me, I feel like in crew battle, like I feel like they're looking for every member to be able to dance footwork, like you're saying, like everyone should be able to do everything. That's cool too, but I think it's okay if you're in a crew battle and one guy's the power head. You got a couple guys that are really good at style and footwork, maybe some other wacky abstract person, like that's what makes a crew. And how you're all meshing together.
All right, we're getting to Master the Art. This was
Master the Art. I'm gonna tell you, Frankie, I'm pretty sure I am up there for most wins at Master the Art. And I had a big argument a few years ago about this because I was never invited to judge. And I don't care, like people can have whoever they want judge their event. I saw the same people judging multiple times. I can't force anyone to do anything, but it did suck to feel like someone was like excluding me or trying to overlook all of the support that I've given this event, but also just the stats. Like I think that should count for something. You see me at this event so many times doing so well, why wouldn't you have me there as a judge as well?
Do you have any suspicion why?
I think that those individuals didn't like how I break. I'm never one to complain in that way, but I'm a very fair and objective person. Just again, after going to this event over 10 years, I'm like, damn, why didn't they ever ask me to judge this? They had Miho twice. Strings is from Michigan, but they had him a couple times. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna hate on these people. I love these dudes, but it's like, what about me, dude? Like, I won this event hella times. Like, that doesn't count for anything. And just as like a Midwest representative, this is one of our big events in the Midwest to me. That's why I win every year.
When it comes to you're hosting an event, because you kind of mentioned stylistically, maybe some people didn't like you. It's like, if you've ever organized a jam, you can recognize certain people that maybe you personally don't resonate with their style, but you still know that their opinion on a judge panel would matter.
Right.
People would care about it.
I try to be very fair. I feel like maybe people think my judgment would be skewed because I'm such a good power head and not as good at dancing. But that don't mean I can't see people dancing and hear the music. I'm judging people holistically on everything they're doing, not just on certain aspects of the dance. I'm also someone, you can ask anyone here in Chicago, I never call ties because that's not what I was hired for. I was hired to make a decision. And I kind of despise people that, and I've been in battles where the same judge in the tiebreaker, calling a tie, it's like, dude, what did we hire you for? We might as well pull someone out of the crowd and have them judge because they'll be able to, like, this guy won. It's important for people to be able to make those determinations to show your expertise and why you're there. And that also shows your confidence as a judge. If you can't make your mind up, maybe you shouldn't be there.
At what point does tie just mean I don't know?
Right. Sometimes it is like, oh my God, it is kind of like a tie, right? Then internally, I have to look at all the objective factors. Were they clean? Did they hit their foundation? Were they original? But then it comes down, well, how do I like to break? When it's close like that for me, that's when it's like, what style do I like? They were both clean, they both did everything, but I like that style.
The topic of judging, I don't think there's a more contentious topic in the breaking community. For you to be able to do exactly what you're describing, that's what every host wants from their judges. Even if you resonate more on the dance or the music side, or maybe you resonate more with the technique and such, you need to be able to appreciate and fairly look at the other side of it. We'll just leave it at that, of course.
Yeah.
We can go.
Yeah, that's like a whole nother, So looking at this footage, this was like second iteration of Crooks. So the first iteration kind of disbanded, and I was basically the lone survivor, along with Mowgli. It was dope because these are all like younger dudes from Chicago that I helped kind of develop in the scene. And we're really hungry. You know, Jay Funky, I've known for years, and Twig at the time. They didn't want to let Crooks Crew die because of all the momentum and all the impact that we made on the scene. And I was proud of them for that, because I was ready just to be like, let's start something new. I'm a part of other crews anyway. We could just start this up and move with this, but they didn't want to let it go. So I didn't let it go.
I think it really speaks to the impact that you're saying the last generation of Crooks had when younger guys come to you and say, we would be so honored to continue to rep the name, as opposed to, like you said, some younger kids, they just want to do their own thing, right?
Right. I'm a type of person, I have an older mentality, right? Like I'm part of the X-Men crew here. Like that's a 30-year-old graffiti crew. I'm part of the Brickheadz. The Brickheadz is a 30-year-old breaking crew from Chicago. Like, when I think about crews that I'm in, I'm like, I'm gonna be in this crew forever. I'm not thinking it's just a fad or a phase, And I feel like, and I'm not an opportunist in that way. It was like, oh, this is hot right now. Let me jump on this, But I always looked at it as like, yeah, we can all branch out, but this is home. This is home base. Like, we're still gonna put our energy into this and ourselves as individuals. Yeah, at this time I was performing for the Chicago Bulls as well. Okay. Okay. See, a lot of people don't do that combo. Dude, I gotta clip this. That was pretty sick.
This is the finals. Usually finals are really boring, you know what I mean?
I was always good at spreading my moves out. And I think that comes from performing. And that's why I think performing is so important too. Even though we're competing, we're still performing. Especially like extended things where like we got a 20-minute show or you're gonna do 3 10-minute sets throughout this hour. I never wanted to come out and do the same things each time. So I really learned how to do little things here, or combine these certain things to where I'm not burning myself out in like 2 rounds or showing my whole hand right away.
BC1 2022 in Minneapolis.
I was feeling really good this day. I was feeling real good. And I had never been to House of Dance, and I was so proud of Boogie B, and I really loved the floor. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna rep my shit. Yeah, so here just trying to show some creativity, I thought I did really well this day, just showing my like full arsenal, but I should have did head spins in the final battle to show my full arsenal, and I would have won. I still think I won, but it's okay. Props to Divine, B-Boy Divine. I had met him that day, and it was crazy because I saw him do like 1090s in the corner, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta battle this guy in the finals. I thought I did really well. I felt good about being like kind of an older head in the scene, but able to still keep up with all the younger guys. And I feel like this really helped me to put myself in perspective of like, man, I can still do this at a high level. I just gotta keep going and training and keep up.
These are some of the best events, the way you describe it, when you get to discover something a little bit about yourself. Yeah, you didn't walk away with a win. People certainly talked about you during this battle, though.
Yeah.
And the lessons you can take with you and just keep going forward.
I didn't win, but I still got flown out to Boston for the regional, which was great. Kind of harking back to what you just said, like more importantly, I represented and made noise. And I think that above all is what the purpose is of anywhere you go. It's just to leave your mark.
So I wanted to save this question specifically for you because I had you talk a little bit about Chicago, talk a little bit about your upbringing and what you remember about breaking before. What would you like to see in terms of breaking for the future? If you had to take more from your personal experience that you've seen before, or just what you're hopeful for?
Great question. Kind of going back to what I mentioned in the beginning of our interview, just more of a party vibe. How to like combine competitions and parties. I want people to come to an event and feel like, man, I'm just having a good time just being here. And there's a breaking battle I can do. Like, I want it to be like that, as opposed to being like, okay, I got a battle. I'm gonna sit in the corner and train on my moves and not interact with anybody until the battle. I'm not gonna cipher. We go, everyone's just kind of separated. They're hoarding all their moves and stuff to the battle. Like, I get that too. But before it was like, man, we're all just ciphering and then it's time to battle. Okay, now it's time to battle. We're just having a good time, interacting with each other, talking. I feel like there was more building before. It wasn't just cut and dry, come to battle, win, lose, go home. Second to that, obviously, more people breaking. Speaking specifically about the Midwest, we need more fresh faces. You know, it's been a lot of the people that have been around, and that's what I give a lot of credit to us here, because a lot of us older guys have really held on to our scene and making sure that it doesn't die. Giving shouts out to people like Strings, Hardcore Detroit, Preach, always constantly bringing in, you know, newer generation guys trying to help them. Jay Boogie from Self X raised his sons to be dope B-boys. A lot of the dudes that are older people that have been here are still here. I want to see newer guys give me a run for my money. I still feel like I'm still one of the best people in the room, and rightfully so. I've been doing this for over 25 years now. I better be one of the best people in the room. That's just my mindset around that. What's gonna push me to the next level is having someone like me like, yo man, I seen you growing up, but my flares are better than yours. Like, I'm like, what? I need to trade. I wanna feel that. I wanna see newer faces that are truly into breaking, not just for the competitive aspect, but just for the community, how it can help better your community, better yourself, and better your life outside of just dancing.
These 2 points are actually quite similar if you think about it, because the theme is looking at the big picture. If you're throwing an event, you gotta look at the big picture, not just the competitive side. We want more, attention, more love for this dance outside of just the breakers, so we have to think about it in those ways.
Yeah.
And then you're also talking about a generation of people that also look at breaking as an overall big picture. I'm not just focused on me competing year after year after year. I gotta think about what's gonna happen when I leave.
Right.
And imagine the heartbreak that once we can't dance anymore, it's just gone.
Right. It worries me. And there are some newer guys, like our young homie Smear and Slugs here. We've been putting in a lot of work. Be Girl Lightning, people like Pepsi. There's a bright future ahead. I just want to like triple the numbers of those people.
It's like trying to find what we can do on a personal level to help that. Not everyone has to go out and open a studio. That's not necessarily the message, I think, what you're saying. Thinking about what you can do maybe in your own role. Maybe you go to session and right now you're just kind of alone in the corner. Maybe instead you open up a little bit and give a little advice or a little inspiration in the way that you can.
Exactly. And really taking heed of those moments. Anytime I see a kid, we practice in park districts and things like that. If I see a kid peeking in the room, I'll be like, come in here, come watch. Like, I know you're curious, right? Just watch. I'm not gonna teach you anything, just watch. I want that curiosity to build. And I just think it's such a great art form. Mentally, it's so you can be so creative. But physically, it literally keeps us in shape. This is why I've been doing it for so long, and like my career has been prolonged, because it keeps my body healthy. Granted, yes, I've been injured. Other than that, it's been so beneficial to me. I just want others to reap those benefits. see how fun this can be and how healthy this could be for your mind and body.
CJ, we're gonna wrap it up there for today. Once again, thank you so much for your time today. I truly appreciate your time as just a overall breaking professional.
Thank you so much, Frankie, for having me. It's just a pleasure just to be here after so many years. Thank you for just showing that you care. It means a lot to me. So you never really know who does. And it feels good to be appreciated. You know, it's crazy and rambunctious, and as much as I've argued with judges and other crews, like, I love everybody. I love our community. I just want to see it grow. It's a pleasure just to still be part of it.
Good luck with everything in the future. Hopefully we'll catch you at more battles.
Absolutely.
And we'll catch you next time.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Frank.
We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.